Once again, we are here for your listening pleasure and education. Level Up Grappling Podcast. Coach Brian here, straight out of PCI Jiu Jitsu, Mission Viejo, California. Want to let you all know that Adam's in the middle of the storm, and of course, Kangaroo Karma would have it. His internet is shaky. So, as we're listening to this episode, if it goes out, you know it's Adam's fault, not us, but for Adam, because he was talking shit about kangaroos again. So whoever would like to donate to the cause so that we can actually train these kangaroos to fight back against Adam, you are more than welcome. And today we have an amazing guest. And I'm going to preface this by saying that this is somebody that I've known for decades. And he is one of the most incredible grapplers you have never heard of. And I am not saying that lightly. Most likely the best grappler you've never heard of. And he is somebody that I have known personally wipe the floor of many asses of black belts when he was a blue belt. So I'm going to introduce the world today to Benjamin Nathanson. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, guys.
And let's start from the beginning. Why don't you walk us through your martial arts journey, how you got started, and where you are today. So start from the beginning.
So my mom was an advocate, obviously, for martial arts, and I got put into Shotokan karate right at the age of like 4, I believe. So a lot of standing in front of the mirror and doing forms, which was probably very necessary for someone like myself. I had to learn to work hard. From there, at 5, went and trained under the Machados. I believe my first teacher in the kids program was a gentleman by the name of Brett Keir. Then Hanato Magno took over the program. Then Jean-Jacques took over the program. And that went for a period of time. There was a chunk of period where, as a child, I was training in and out of my father's garage as he was doing lessons with a bunch of the black belts out of the Machados. Eventually, in 2007, opened up a business with my own family, my brother and my father. And then my brother opened up his own school in the UK, and now I've opened up my own school in Texas, all of us being separate from each other now, but continuing to do our own journey.
Yeah, that was very fast.
As fast as I could. I'm sorry.
No. I want it long, and I want it detailed, because I need, for the listening audience, we have 37 countries that listen to the show.
Yeah,
we're the number one grappling podcast in the world. So you have an interesting story, because you're, like you said, your dad and your older brother are also jiu-jitsu artists, black belts.
Yes.
But I think what makes you incredibly unique is how you were able to pick it up as efficiently as you did, and how you were able to dominate at a young age, and at what somebody would say is a quote unquote beginner level, say like a blue belt level, and literally beat the shit out of black belts. And I'm not going to name names. Okay. We're going to keep some of this a little bit private. But when I say this was being done against guys of very high caliber, of very famous competition teams, not Gracie Baja, but also, maybe Gracie Baja in there. There's something impressive about that. So what made you really kind of latch on to jiu-jitsu, and what do you think led to your success at such a young age?
How young we talking here? Like when I first started to really develop and like come to fruition, or prior?
Let's start from there, from like when it really kind of clicked for you, because it's unique.
So definitely around the time when we were opening up our own school, when I was about 17, 18, 19, I was being dragged to every in-house competition, just post-era garage days. I mean, there was no awards. I remember the first thing that we ever got, besides if you were lucky enough to have the paper, if it was just a list of names on a paper that just disappeared, was a Grappling X dog tag that was aluminum. It didn't have a placement on it. It just said Grappling X. It was like a silver tag. But competing probably at the time, if I could, 2 times a month, We tried doing it more than twice a month, and we found out very fast that our bodies couldn't keep up with the rhythm, or we couldn't set a proper pace for us to peak and then like recover, if you would have a plateau. But definitely competing and being saturated in the environment, like not being given a choice, speaking another language where no one else speaks the language you speak, and then having to learn very quick is definitely, I think, the fastest route. It develops your hardest workers for sure. Nothing harder than trying to find out where the bathroom is when no one knows how to speak your same language. You find out really fast how to ask.
And what was it about your, I guess, your passion or attention to jujitsu that leveled you up so quickly and so efficiently? Because, like I said, you were manhandling guys with years more experience than you and
Um,
embarrassing people.
that's a soft topic for me. That's hard. Okay, so there's a couple of things. For sure, tough childhood. That definitely makes for a harder worker, especially when there's not a lot of resources there. I would like to say my mom for sure was the main motivational factor. When I was competing at my peak, my mom was going through chemo one, two times, and was having a losing battle. And that
Yeah.
really drove me into a lot of the arenas where I was like at those top levels where I could perform. Nothing could kind of stop me. I was already dealing with some of the worst torture and what in my mind would have created that prison. So for me to be able to fight with like demons knocking at my door, very easy for me to be able to do some of what I was doing when every match kind of mattered for pulling in resources for that battle.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember those years.
Yeah, those
Um,
were long.
Jesus.
Yeah, big
That
battle.
goes,
That
yeah.
that that ended in my early 20s. That was a
Yeah.
hard fight.
Yeah. It gives me chills thinking about it. And,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
on the sides, I'm sorry for you. It's,
No, it's
a great
okay.
loss. Your mother was an amazing person. I remember specifically, just kind of going off topic here for some second, but I do want to give your mother props just as a third party. Um, when she was going through chemo, the amount she cared for the gym and in the team and
Mhm.
everything, she was making cookies. And
Mhm.
it was just like
The
it's
best
something that
I would
you wouldn't think of in a million years, and she was that generous of a human being. Um,
it's still hard making chocolate chip cookies because they don't come out as good. It's that upsetting. It's disappointing.
yeah,
That's how good of a person this was. Decided my moral
yeah,
compass for me in a lot of ways, for sure. Good human
yeah.
being.
Um, yeah, that was a tough battle. I remember actually going with your dad to the Medi-Cal office,
Hmm.
with all kinds of paperwork and helping him fight to get, extra stuff, extra care for your mom and stuff like it was rough. Um,
Yeah, it was a rough time. There was some very
yeah,
very hard moments for sure throughout that. Emotionally, financially, the physical battle of trying to maintain yourself as well. Just a whole bunch of craziness for sure. It doesn't make for a very stable environment, but it makes for some
yeah,
amazing outcomes. I can tell you that.
yeah. And, just the support. So I can definitely identify with what you're saying, the
There's a
amount of
ton of
support
support.
that your mother gave with all she was struggling with. That's, dare I say, inhuman, because it's something that you don't recognize in the average person.
She
She
was
was above and beyond as a human being.
Yeah, she was giving everything even when she was going down to like the last days. She was like, "No, I've got to get these things knocked out of the way." Doing things where it's like she didn't even have the energy to put in like this one maple fudge recipe. That was really good. I finally figured out how to make it. I finally did it this year, and not quite exact, but just I'm almost right there. It's almost perfect. But it was one of those things where it's like lay down and rest. This is not the time. And she was
Yeah,
adamant to get out every last little bit of what she had left.
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. There's a stronger lady than me. So
Yeah, it was incredible. Her will, her love and support of the gym and the team and everything was, absolutely remarkable. I mean, really just you couldn't find a better human being than your mother.
yeah, no,
I'll leave it like that.
no,
Um,
it's a good way to put it.
yeah. So, I'll just collect myself for a minute here because
No,
that
it's okay.
that that was
No, it's
sorry,
hard. I know.
dude, it's just like she was
No, I
such an
had to
amazing
practice this
person.
a lot. It's a lot of practice. It's been about almost I think 15 years if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we haven't exactly have our moment to talk about it either. We never even
Yeah.
discussed it afterwards.
No. That I think that was,
Yeah, this is very much family. So like we
yeah,
spent like Brian said, we spent a lot of years together in the same environment and,
yeah,
like mingling and family and all this. So this is very much like our whole, like a lot of people are very much our lives inside this thing.
yeah,
So
yeah, that was definitely, uh, it was definitely an environment, and she was there every step of the way.
yeah,
Um,
she was.
anyways, um, so for you putting together the pieces of jujitsu, what were the things that clicked for you? Rather, because I feel like, think definitely clicked quicker than for you than for me. What was it that clicked for you so quickly where you were able to kind of put everything together and just create a masterpiece of a grappling game?
So the competition definitely helped. My brother definitely helped. He was definitely that driving force of belief that I think a lot of people need to learn. Like the power of belief is a superpower when a coach gives it to you.
Mhm.
It's not something to take lightly. So when you have someone behind you that actually believes in you, I think that's probably the most important lesson that I ever learned there. Um, sorry, there's a lot of ums coming out of me.
No, good.
That certainly did a lot for me where no one else was a driving force. I did have one person always in my corner telling me I could do it. In terms of the like technical pieces though,
Yeah,
oof, oof, oof. That's a lot of people. That's a whole village. Mm, That's trial and error. Like I could start. You want me to name people that we trained with?
sure.
Ooh, okay, so obviously someone like yourself is one. My father was a component. My brother was a component. We had the guys on Checkmat were a very important piece. We had some of the guys out of Gracie Baja, like Raz in Canada. I think he's in Vancouver. He may still be teaching the main gym down there. He was an important factor as well. There's guys here in Texas like Clayton, my team, helping me build up after being down for a period of time. When I first moved out here a couple of years ago, I had some real bad injuries that had to be addressed, and that's part of that process of healing over the last year. Uh, Lucas, Joao, Bushesha, Kavaka, Esposito, Brian, Sergio, all you guys. I know there's way more missing there. Sharpay for sure. I think he took off to China. Sharpay, if you're out there, I love you, dude. I hope you still have your Sharpay. Um, Definitely Marcel. Marcel, if you're out there, you're the man. Thank you, War Chief. Marcel is definitely, in terms of technical ability, I watched him pick apart people that I had a lot of respect for
Yeah.
in the training room. Not, it wasn't even about the competition. So like watching Marcel pick apart people that I really respected and then being able to mirror what he was doing back onto those people was some of the most amazing stuff. So I picked up a couple of things where I was really lucky, but I think I got lucky in a couple of observation areas where other people were hiding things from you and being
Mm,
very effective at hiding things. And I was able to kind of see behind the veil on some of those techniques, and to the point where I could confront people and be like, hey, I figured out how your technique work. And then I wouldn't get a response. I'd get like a walk away, which was a confirmation for me, essentially. So a lot of high level guys. And also Bill, definitely Cooper. Bill, if you're out there, shout out. Bill, you're the man. Thank you.
Bill the Grill.
Bill beat the, am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, of course.
Bill beat the shit out of me. The first time I met him, he beat the absolute dog shit out of me. So thank you, Bill. Definitely one of the guys I got to go and visit when I come back.
Yeah, that was interesting times. People I think don't realize, we were very fortunate growing up in LA and then, the San Fernando Valley and stuff. Just
Hmm.
just in LA, the hotbed of jujitsu, back in the day before it spread out anywhere, there was just this,
Cultural boom.
oh my God, this immense level of talent and vicious talent, not that kind of
Hmm.
patty cake bullshit that's around today.
No, the rules are
Vicious
different.
talent. we got to experience, um, guys at the top of their game and really showed the beauty of their violence. And it's not like everybody had the same game too. That's what was so interesting, right? You weren't stuck in like this fishbowl of everybody's doing this technique and this and that and the other thing. You like you were saying, there would be guys coming in where you think, okay, this guy is a world beater, and then all of a sudden you have somebody like Marcel go
Hmm.
in and just, shut that shit down. You're like, wait a minute, what? I thought this was like the impenetrable half guard. Yeah, I remember a guy, I'm not gonna name the school or anything, had come to train with me, I don't know, 3, 4 years ago. And he says, well, my coach is the master of the half guard and this and that and the other thing, and nobody can stop my half guard. I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, well, guess what? I used to train intimately with the guy that trained your coach, and I guarantee you, your half guard isn't going to do shit. He came once, he never came back.
Mm,
Um, so shout out to Marcel for
yeah,
being just a beast on every angle.
yeah. Wow, he feels like a boulder, doesn't he?
Yeah, Jesus. So what do you think? Now, you said something that I think is very interesting that I don't feel enough people pay attention to is the power of observation and sitting back and being able to dissect what people are doing. Because you said something which is very, very astute. There's a lot of people, especially back in the day, they would show something, but they're not really showing exactly what they're doing or the
No,
why, right?
that's the
We
real
missed a
jujitsu now
lot of
that you see.
details.
Yeah,
Mhm.
real.
Yeah. So your power of observation, how did you develop that? And what kind of
Whew.
directed you to go,
Okay,
I
so
need to
that
just sit back and watch what they're not saying?
that's both my parents to a degree for sure. But definitely again, my mom. My mom was she said something one time. I don't know what it was. Maybe I just clicked right. I don't know if everyone still has the same level of awareness or attunement for their surroundings. I myself was not very socially acute when I was young, and I was
Mhm.
constantly being told, "Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. One of these days, I'm not going to be around to give you a heads up. You're going to need to know what's going on." Um,
Mm.
that definitely is the source of that those words, mind you. Now there's a bunch of follow-up situations that go into that, especially like during the pandemic, during the shutdown. I was doing a bunch of bouncing and learning very quickly on the ropes of having to deal with, and also living in the San Fernando Valley has its own attunement to it. You get
Mhm.
to learn character. There's nuances to everything, and just like with jujitsu, I think part of being a black belt generally is learning how to take your skill set and apply it to kind of everything,
Yeah.
and being able to do it, even if you're only good at 3 to 5 things, which is like common, right?
Mhm.
Being able to do those 3 to 5 things everywhere and anywhere. And then if you can do those things in, like, let's say it's not an armbar, let's say you know how to communicate or speak a language to someone where you can translate and give something meaning that someone else isn't communicating properly, and you practice those things and live in other people's shoes, it becomes a lot easier. But again, I pick up on certain things very quickly, not as fast as some people do, for sure. I don't want to get ahead of myself because there's been plenty of times, and especially I trip myself up on a regular basis. It's very normal. But again, the opportunities, repetition, a lot of access, and doing things, trying to minimize the exposure of what's going on. So the less steps that are going on, the less I get into like the scramble or slowing things down, the more I start to figure out these observations. Getting a high level guy to do those things slowly and in those rooms when they're like live on competition and in that pocket where it's like all world champions in the same room,
Mm.
it's very impossible to get someone else to slow down for you when they're trying to rip each other apart. Um, if you spend enough time, though, I think learning to crawl and then learning to walk and then having time running, yeah, I think you'll be able to pick up stuff really easy when you run. Real situations teach you real things real quick. So,
Yeah, because I
I mean,
think that's something that you have a unique gift for. Um,
I don't know how it sparked so hard on me at that age. It was
yeah,
like 17 when you were exposed to me initially when I was
yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
And it was like I was a sponge and I was just devouring information at a really high rate. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Unusual, and it was just unusual.
It's not something that I
because,
normally talk about. You know what I
you
mean?
know,
It's like, we're just training.
no, no, it's unusual the way, and the reason why I'm honing in on this is everybody can sit and learn an armbar or, a closed guard sweep, open guard, pass and, blah, 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 blah. But the details, there's that saying, the devil is in the details.
Yeah.
And if somebody knows the devil's details, it's Ben Nathanson. It's unique because you can get a bunch of champions in a room, right?
Yeah.
And more than half the time, they don't even know what the hell they're doing.
No, and
They
even
they
if
have
you're
something,
doing
but
the
they're not
same thing
aware.
as them, just slightly different, like one little piece is off, you can explain it to them and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know how you're
Yeah.
doing that. And you're like, it's identical. It is exactly identical. You just switched this one item. It blows people apart. I don't know. There's a lot of details. There's a lot of things. I can tell you the way it was explained to me in terms of jujitsu terms was like lights or the tree, like the standard explanation. There's all the branches or the techniques show up when they show up. You see different
Mhm.
colors, you see different brightnesses, things like that. There's a lot of light bulbs. There's a lot of light bulbs for sure.
Yeah.
So
I think, because every week when we do this show, I always try to make sure there's enough nuggets of information for the listening audience so they can walk away with something and apply it
mm,
that week in in
okay.
in training. And I think one of the key takeaways here is that it's not always what necessarily the instructor is saying. You're going to get a lot more benefit by hyper focusing on your observation. And I always recommend, this is something I would always do. I didn't want to just be the guy in the room. Okay, yeah, I saw the technique. Let me go practice it with some
hmm
guy on the side. I wanted to feel it. And there was a lot of times where I'd stop guys. It didn't matter if it was you,
No, you
Jared,
have a
your
very good
dad,
point.
whoever.
I was
I'm like,
constantly
do it
the
to
uke.
me.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
constantly the uke. You're absolutely right. I was always being used. I was constantly the demo dummy. Even if you go back and find some of my family's old videos, you can see I'm being used as the demo dummy constantly.
And there's so
So that
much
is
value in that.
absolutely, yeah, you have to have it done to you too. That's if you don't understand it from both sides of the argument, then you don't really understand the argument at all,
You
let alone
don't,
the
there's only
conversation.
there's only so much you can get from, because like as an example, I have a little distance training program that I have a lot of guys all over the world that come, they watch my videos and stuff like that. My little instructional techniques I give them each month. But I tell them the ones that get the most out of what they saw in the videos are the ones that come fly out and come visit me and actually train with me. I'm like, it's one thing to watch a video and watch the explanation. It's another thing to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have
You have to
guys
put your
like
hands on it.
I tell you, Josh Barnett would always get mad at me because I would always stop him and I'd be like, "Do it to me." He's like, "Why? You already know this." I go,
Yeah,
"Just
you have
do
to
it to
know.
me, please."
Yeah, if it's not being done to you, you don't have any clue of what's going on.
No, because there's so much that you cannot articulate in instructing somebody
That's the
until
nuance.
they feel it, and it's the nuance. And I would, Josh, I love you, but he would get mad because I'd be like, "Stop," and I'd be feeling him, right? I'd look like such a pervert, right? Because I'd be feeling. It doesn't matter who it was. I'm feeling them. I want to feel where their shoulder is. I'm trying to feel their hip, the insertion, all these little things, because there's so much more to it than what the instructor, whoever's, teaching the technique can
Yep.
possibly say verbally,
There used
you
to be
know?
times I remember where guys would not let people just like that, like, hey, don't, I want to feel it. No, I'm not using you. Specifically because they didn't want the guy to figure it out. There were
Yeah.
conversations, there were times, there were videos where someone would show something, but a key detail that would make the whole thing fall apart like a linchpin would
Mhm.
be placed in the video. I'm not naming names. I'm not, no dates, no times, but absolutely, you know who you are. 100%. Bravo. It's still going on today. Bravo. We
Mhm.
have a trend form because of it. But I mean, if you want to see real things, you want to see real techniques, go put your hands on it, go get it done to you, go to competition, just
You
tap
got
her.
you gotta feel it. You
Yeah,
know,
you have to feel
s
it. Go to the
speaking of
deep end of the pool.
competition,
Yeah.
I would love to explore with you some of the competition controversies Let's
Okay.
focus on the ones that you have had over the years, because I always found it very
I think I
entertaining.
know what you're going to talk about. Maybe I might be wrong.
Well, well, literally, you would have to try and murder people because you could
Yeah.
sit there and break somebody's arm, and the fucking referees would be like, "No, no, nothing happened. Wait, he
Yes,
tapped
which
like
has
10
happened.
times.
Yeah.
No, wait, no, he's
Yeah.
unconscious. No,
Dude,
he's not.
stop the match. His arm is broken. He's saying stop. He doesn't want to fight. Literally having dude, he's saying he's done. His arm is broken. No,
No,
he's still
no,
good.
didn't happen." And and
I had
and and I,
forgotten.
I've had people argue with me saying that's not true. Like,
No,
what are you
it's
talking
true.
about, dude? I was there.
It's absolutely true. It's upsetting. It's very true.
Yeah,
So, yeah. But yeah,
like
we saw cheating all the
you,
time. We saw guys get
yeah,
dropped into ultra categories that were in the heavyweight and had the paperwork on them to prove they were in the heavyweight. And they go, "Well, sorry, no good."
yeah. It's funny. It's just the way I train my guys. I go until the referee pulls you off,
Mm-hmm.
you don't
Don't stop.
stop. I want them dead.
Yeah, it was
Sorry
a
to be
different
so
time.
graphic, but
No. You have
I
to.
still
The
have
referee
that
has to stop the
trauma.
match. If the referee, and you've seen plenty of times where there's false tapping going on and things like that, or someone goes out and they come back to life, and the person stops fighting because they put him out and they're like, "Hey, he's unconscious," but the referee doesn't see something from a certain angle, which happens. We're human, especially like we have different rules on roughing now. The guys used to ref like 4 or 6 8 hour days with no break, no. Someone bring them a water, they're like, "Thank you." So. I don't know what to tell you. But yes, there's a lot of that nonsense. It's changed. The game of that has changed drastically. It's not quite in the open anymore.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, that was. I just remember one time you come back. Can you believe that shit? I'm like, yeah. Well,
I was pissed.
yeah,
Yeah, I had totally forgotten about that. I had totally. It was just one of those things where it's like we're competing so regularly though. It was like
yeah,
it's another day in the office at that point. So what?
yeah.
I mean, someone needs to have an arm or a leg. Do you remember back in 2007 when they took out knee bars? Yeah, it pissed me off. That really pissed me off. It was for purple
Yeah,
belts. They moved it to like brown belt. And I'm
well,
still
they,
complaining
they
about it like almost 20 years later.
they don't want it's always that when the judo took away leg grabs and all this stuff is you're always you see guys always taking away organizations taking away techniques if they're too successful.
Dude, they took away wrestling from the Olympics for a minute. Like, what? I don't know
Yeah,
what's going on anymore. Like, it's weird.
yeah. Well, they're going to put
Yeah, the
in.
whole
They
world's
have
great.
pickleball instead. You'd rather instead of a wrestling champion, you'd rather have a world pickleball Olympic champion. Come on, dude.
Personally, the stones with the ice where they brush it. I don't know
Yeah,
why, but that is so exciting to watch when it comes on. I can't look away from it.
curling, right? Isn't it
Curling,
called
thank you.
curling?
Yes,
Curling.
curling. I don't know what it is about that. I just get hypnotized.
No, that's funny. Um,
Yeah.
so what inspired you to move to Texas? Tell everybody where you are in Texas and why did you
Okay.
go to Texas?
So life was crazy. I was doing, like I said, I was doing a lot of security work. That was obviously a hostile lifestyle. That's not, especially in dives, not ever fun. That's a driving factor for sure. I needed to get away from that. I was in a pocket mentally where I saw a lot of things swirling around me, where it was like I almost felt like I was going down my own doom, if you will.
Mhm.
Finances were hard. Living in Los Angeles is very difficult. It's really
Yeah.
hard. You have to have two jobs and at least a side hustle. That's not a joke. That's been the saying since before I was a kid.
Mhm.
Once I started getting out into the workforce, I think I started my first job where I was getting paid at 15, right? And that was an eye opener right away for if I want to eat lunch at the location where I'm working in the facility, I can't on a 40-hour work week. I'm not buying lunch here. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So that was a big eye opener for me. That was also an existing factor. I was kind of all in the right pocket to move along. Business wasn't working out for me inside of my own family business. I wanted a certain shift to occur without
Mhm.
taking over the helm. And once I had gotten some agreements to happen, agreements weren't happening. So it was time to kick rocks at that point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
So
so
I went my own way.
tell us about where you are in Texas and how you picked that location.
So we basically threw a dart at the board in terms of price tags. And initially, before I ended up in the location where I am now, which is Lubbock, I was in Amarillo. And Amarillo, we spent a year there, and that's where my back was really bad right after our
Mm.
move. I was basically bedridden. I can, the base sheet.
Yeah.
I couldn't fight the base sheet. I couldn't roll over that. That was really bad. So thank you to my lovely wife Ellen for supporting me through that time period. Without you, I wouldn't even be able to train, let alone walk. Fantastic lady. She actually was the one that got me my procedure in the first place. Got all the finances sorted out, everything. Um, so after a year being Amarillo, Amarillo was not the place where we were going to settle. We came up here. Ellen's mom came up to Lubbock, bought a property. We're like, hey, we're going to start our own business at some point. We ended up with her for a little bit. And then we've opened up our own school in the last 7 months. So, I mean, we're doing pretty good now. We're getting things turned around. And from a point where we were almost dead in the water, we're starting to thrive and build a culture. We've got people that are family now, friends, all sorts of things. So things are looking very much like we're going to be here now for a while. I don't think I'm
So
moving home base off of here.
okay, good. Well, I mean, the
Yeah,
cost of living and, if
it's
I know
different.
what
It's building.
yeah, what you were telling me before about how successful you guys are becoming, like, in the competition scene there,
Yeah,
it's,
the kids program is absolutely thriving. Our adult program's finally starting to pick. We figured out our advertising right.
mm,
We were having some hiccups in that. Once we figured out how to format our advertising properly, it's like things just clicked where we were not having the progress we wanted to see. We are now fulfilled in the progress we're seeing to the point where we need some help. So, but
mm,
the kids class is absolutely, again, Ellen is fantastic. She's amazing with kids. You remember how I used to be with kids?
yeah,
Okay, this girl's like I'm telling you, like a better version of that. She's a
wow,
better version of that with the kids. She's infinitely more patient than I am in so many ways. Where again, I'm way down the road, but like it is amazing to watch her work and the level of patience. She's got her prebees program that goes. She's got this little army of prebees running and actually listening to her, and it's a lot of work. I like watching her get them uniform. Getting 3 to 5 year olds to do the same thing at the same time and functionally is insane. Is beyond me at this stage.
yeah, I wouldn't be able to do
It's
it
so
better her than
impressive.
me.
Yeah. I can't. She brought it up to me this last week. I was like, "You're out of your mind. I can't. I can't." You see my blood pressure go up right there.
So walk us through the philosophy of the hive. I just thought when you first told me, like, you're calling this place the hive, I
Okay,
thought it was
so
very interesting, and then you have your whole concept behind it. So walk us
yeah,
through the hive.
so we do have our slogan, which is "Rise as One." So I believe in a lot of ways that we are going to help each other pick each other up. There are going to be different levels and different elements of what the group is, but this is very much a community. So the hive represents that. We have 3 pillars that we thrive off of, which is basically competition, community, and quality. So that those are our driving factors for what we do. Everything is about those three. Um, Even my curriculum and how I rank, especially in our kids program, comes down to
Mhm,
those 3 pillars specifically. If someone can't meet one of those pillars, everyone in their own time. There's always been that phrase.
mhm,
Um, but you know what it's like getting that mixture and that combination of all those things, having grown up in what is like essentially the Western Mecca for jujitsu on our side of the coast.
mhm.
Having all those things are so important to your development as an athlete, as a person, developing grit and character for yourself and how you conduct yourself in the community and going out to competition and how you compete. I don't think a lot of people see that. Sometimes they miss it. They think it's all about just hard training and banging heads. And I'm sorry, it's CTE is not the way in this for me. I don't nothing against that style of training. It just was never for me in my longevity. This is a long ride for me. So
Yeah, you gotta play the long game. So,
yeah, I gotta play the long game for sure.
walk us through those pillars and what they mean to you and how that translates into the grading process of the
Okay,
student.
so our community is very important. Without our community, without our training partners, and I know you know this, those are missed opportunities. Um, without you there, how many of our roles would have not happened, would not have formed, we would not have gotten the experience off of each other that we did moving into the next day or the next room, right? Even when we split ways. Um, So community is 100% a part of this. Like, if I don't put, again, my belief into my community and the people I'm bringing up, I'm not exactly putting in my best, and I can't get the best out of what I'm putting into. So community is right there. It speaks for itself. Competition. Yeah, my entire youth was spent in competition. Many of the lessons, the realism, the friction, the rule changes that make the realism kind of slip off a little bit, depending on what the rules are, if you will. You know, some rule sets are softer than others, some are harder than
Mhm.
others. Very much a life lesson for me in terms of like what works, what doesn't. I've had people teach me nonsense where I'm like, okay, I'll take it at face value. It's working in this room, but you know, like what works in this room doesn't work in the next room.
Yeah.
And then when you go to competition and you expect again, let's like, don't get me wrong, I'm a big proponent of half guard. I love half guard. I still fight out of it all the time, despite all the injuries. I love getting my face squished up in there and getting crushed and getting hit. It's the love of the game. But it's not, you can't base your whole personality on it. There were guys that, again, when I was growing up, I saw black belts from certain groups that they only had half guard, and then when they did have it, they only had it on one side.
Yeah.
You know, you put them over on the other side and they would spaz out, turn blood red, and have almost like a panic attack and a fit afterwards. You'd not only be dealing with this tantrum in the match, but they probably had something to say to you afterwards about how they didn't appreciate that, which was really crazy at the time.
Yeah.
You know who you are. Sorry.
So no, keep going. So, okay. So we got that community development.
Quality is so important, man. You already
Mhm.
know quality matters.
Yeah.
So I have to play a balance. Okay. So there is the art and then there is the business aspect of it. And in order for me to get the best out of my quality, I have to do both. I can't just do one. If I do one, I shortchange my flock, and then my flock loses opportunities because art. And then on the other side, if I just go business, well, there goes the whole thing. Now I'm selling
Yeah.
belts, and I'm a McDojo, and I'm just handing out any belt to any parent that, because they think they know what deserves this or that. Now I've got to do it, and I got to do it for the rest. And nah, not the way. Definitely not the way for me. So quality is right there. My curriculum obviously isn't other people's curriculum. Um, there will be people that talk about the quality of other people's curriculum. I just happen to think what my experience is and what I've gotten from my teammates and what I've seen work. I try not to hand off like everything that I do to my
Mhm.
students. I try to hand off things I know other people have performed and I've seen work over and over again that I've put my hands on and tested. Like it's not just a take my word for it situation. I'm putting all of everyone that I've ever put my hands on back into my students as best I can, one day at a time, which is, I'm trying to add a drop to the bucket of the ocean every day, but I'll get there. I will absolutely get there for sure. It's just going to take a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of have the same philosophy. I always tell students, I don't teach my game. I'm going to teach you what can be universally applicable fundamentals and concepts. And you're
Hmm.
going to develop your game based on your personality, your attributes, etc., based on mechanics, fundamentals, and those universal principles and concepts. Because ultimately I favor certain things these days as the older now in my 50s that I did not necessarily do in my 20s, right? Or 30s or 40s, and I can't do anymore. And, you know, between shoulders, issues and, herniated discs in the neck, there's things you can't do.
Hmm.
I wouldn't, these days, I wouldn't do deep half to save my life,
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Why ain't
That's how
happening
my
now.
arm popped off. I literally put my hand underneath a knee and deep, and like it was the first 5 seconds, and literally just activated my bicep, and it just went pop, crunch, slip. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, I don't even have a cool story out of this. I asked the guy, I was like, did you feel this? And he goes, I didn't feel a thing, which is classic for getting dinged really good. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, what can you do?
You learn your lessons,
Real
and a lot
fast.
of us, yeah, you learn it, and then you learn it the hard way. And then if you're stubborn enough, like I was, to keep doing the same shit, and it's just like, how many times is Marcel Lozado gonna crossface me or rip my neck
Hmm.
off trying to
Before you
go
can't turn your
underneath
head.
him or do this before I can't turn my head anymore? I'm like, well, that was
Hmm.
stupid,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
no kidding.
So you start to see certain things where you're like, okay, well, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. So you kind of evolve over time, but the things to me that doesn't change is the concepts, principles, mentals, right? That you can carry through and create a more adaptive game,
Yeah.
you know? And one of the things I wanted to ask you about, not to, so we had a private conversation, not to get into the private conversation, but we had a private conversation over what was happening in your area in Lubbock, where there was a lot of schools, basically you coming into town very upset with you because of how
Yeah.
dominant your students have become against these other schools and their training methods or whatever, and the anger, I guess you can say, an uproar over what you guys have created there.
It's very
So
upsetting to some of the population, I'm sure. But again,
yeah,
focusing on ourselves, I'll talk about absolutely. I'm not going to again point fingers or name names because again, I'm not going to give value to or
yeah,
importance to people that don't.
yeah,
But yeah, the from the copying the logo colors and mixing it into their own brands to slightly one wording off the slogan to copying some of our better deals on the police, military, firefighter, first responder side, all sorts of things almost right away where we're doing very good for ourselves. There's a couple we've prioritized obviously what our list of threats are, who's the high tier threats, who's the low end, and who we don't have to worry about,
mhm,
just like any business owner has to do. But we know that we are definitely making an impact right away, especially the fact that we got our little batch of kids up and running almost immediately, and placing inside a competition, not pulling first, obviously, all the time, anything like that, but making an impact immediately. So every time we do something, if I get like a little touch of response back, I know because I can see the direct line and timeline leading from the response time. It's almost very consistent in nature. So we're tracking, and we have help to track and, it is what it is. What can you do? There's always going to be haters and it's good to have haters.
yeah,
So
of course.
yeah,
Years ago, I was taught at an early age, the more haters you have, it means the better
more
you're doing.
successful. Yeah, more
Yeah,
successful. So
because
some of
no
the guys
no
here like
hater
us for
hates on
sure.
shit. Yeah.
No, no, we have teams that work with us here. One that we just did our joint competition with is like different breed, right? And we get along with other members of the community just fine. There's other teams and other guys within those teams that don't like us that still get along with us. Um, I've always been under the impression you don't have to like someone to learn from them, which is really weird because, and I know you've seen this pattern develop before, but it's you don't like someone and no, you can't hang out with them outside of class either, sort of nonsense. Oh man. So tell me that you're having a hard time at home without telling me. So what can you do?
That was I think I know in a sense the degree that that still exists because
It does. I still hear
there's
about it.
yeah, there's people
Yeah.
like when I've put on seminars and stuff, and I'm like, "Hey, it's a catch wrestling seminar. Everybody come, everybody's welcome." I bring flyers to other schools, and the students or the instructors telling their students, "Don't go there because
Yeah.
he's just gonna show dick moves and this and that and the other thing, and we don't do that," and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, "I'm trying to teach everybody how to just wrestle better. I mean, what's the problem with that?" No, don't it's so divisive and catty, and they don't really have that sense of unity and diversity where we can all have our own styles and perspectives, and everybody can help make each other better. And
Yeah.
that closed-mindedness, it's kind of pathetic. It's still very
It's the
childish.
diversity that makes us better, honestly. Again, if I
Mhm.
don't have your experience, all I have is my own perspective. What good is my perspective when it's always I, me, me, me? No one's going to listen to I, me, me all the time. They don't just want to hear about you constantly. The community, again, is what raises us little kiddos up to the new community
Mhm.
standard, and
Yeah.
then we just take our new place. And when we're in that new place, we go, oh, this is weird. I'm, where Sheldon was, all those years ago in the SBJJF, whatever it is. So it's rewarding at this point. I'm not even worried about it. It's so
Yeah.
rewarding at this point.
At least around here, I'm probably one of the few, if only, I don't want to say only because I'm sure there's other people do it. I'm just not aware. I encourage my students to go cross train at other schools. I
We do
tell
as
them all the
well.
time, don't go to as many open mats as you can, go to other people's classes. If you see something good, bring it back. Let's learn it. Let's talk about it, break it down. How does it work? Can we add it in? Is it not going to be added in? But get as much feedback as you can from as many people as you can. Um, and I know a lot of other instructors, they don't like that. They're like, "How could
No,
you do that? This and that and the other thing." I'm like, "You kidding me? It's only gonna make the students better." And then it reaffirms what I'm teaching them because they're like, "Oh my god, I smoked all these people." I'm like, "Great, but go learn." I'm like, I expect it. Get the fuck out of here. Go."
you know that whole knowing is half the battle thing is like
Yeah.
it's a majority of the battle. The other majority is obviously the physical aspect of it.
Mhm.
So bring your best tools and equipment to the game, and you better bring an even bigger like IQ bag for it as well. Because if you're aware of something, you can do a lot about it before anything even plays off. A lot of, and especially in jujitsu, what you're not seeing, the majority of jujitsu is what's not happening
Mhm.
sometimes
Yep.
just because things are kind of getting nullified and setups are getting formed. It's the same with catch wrestling. It's the same with wrestling and all realistic grappling style martial arts. You can see the setups very easily if you're aware of what's actually going on.
Yeah.
So it's fun. Other times you
Like,
get caught off guard. You can't know everything. It's impossible to
no.
know everything. Yeah,
And
that's
that,
the
I
beauty
think
of it.
that's the fun part, right? It's
Yeah.
just I love getting in there with somebody, especially if they're a specialist or an expert in one particular thing that, I'm okay at, but I'm not great at. And
hmm
then they do it to me over and over and over again. I'm like, wow, that's cool. I'll keep putting myself in that same position because I want to see how consistent they are with it. And every time they do it to me, I'm picking up something else. I'm
hmm
picking up another nuance that if they explained it to me, they still won't be able to articulate that subtlety and nuance of something that they're doing, that I'll only get it if they keep beating me up with the same thing repeatedly.
Yeah, if someone gets something on you and they just keep beating your ass with it over and over and over again, where it's just that you fell into a vat of redundancy, that's a good technique. And you gotta
Yeah,
admire something that's effective. You know, when
yeah,
something works, it works.
yeah, and I love that. I mean, that's the only way you can expand yourself is to
Hey,
learn and be open-minded enough.
learn from competition, guys. That's
Mhm,
where those redundancies are happening in competition, obviously, and then they're taking
yeah,
them to know seminars and down the road and teaching generations on generations on generations of guys real things. So,
yeah, absolutely. So walk us through your adult program.
okay.
What's your philosophy behind training adults? How do you start them off, and how do you develop adults? Because I know for a fact you're not one of those attendance card guys where if you have your 30 days, you automatically get a stripe. I know you're not that guy.
No, no, no. We have our attendance system, which gets factored in, obviously, because we adhere to IBJJF standards. I'm not going outside of that. I need my guys to be tracked. I need them to be legitimate. I need them to not be questioned down the road.
Mhm,
You know, there's a lot of bullshit where people come in and be like, oh, well, we don't know about you. Well, no one knows about me. I mind my own business. I'm sorry.
mhm,
So I don't want them to have to run into that. They should be able to plug into that system, and I have that available.
mhm,
But no, again, I'm not that attendance guy. Again, everyone in their own time, everyone's different. I have a variety of things. So I have everything from brand new beginners that are like a day one. It's almost like a preview walking in for us, right?
mhm,
I have to teach you your body for you, which is fine. That's totally doable. We do that in a good manner. We have women's programs for that as well. We have police and military for that as well, firefighter, all those things. But each person that comes in has their own set of needs depending on where they're kind of getting placed, right?
mhm,
So if I have, let's say, my only women's program goes to Coach Ellen. We have her available. She's an excellent competition coach. She has lots of experience competing inside of like JJ World League. I think she did like 17 golds in a row when she was last in
Jesus.
Cali. Yeah, insane to the point where, again, um, not saying this is being done intentionally, but there are medal placements to this day that are incorrect on her format. I hope you guys fix that, because their points should reflect what they are. I myself have had the experience of not having my achievements placed where they should be. So like it's not a intentional act, but not getting recognized at least on documentation is very defeating for some athletes. I think it's a lot some people move away from. It's almost like the restaurant industry. If you don't have a good experience, you end up voting with your feet, not with your mouth.
Yep.
So um, But again, moving back to the adults program. So we build them from the floor up. I have to typically teach them almost right off the bat simple mechanics,
Hmm.
especially in the beginner phase of how to get to the floor safely. Falling, is always like where most of the injuries happen in jiu-jitsu.
Oh
Someone
yeah.
landing on you. The techniques, unless you're going to competition or you got like a real dangerous spazzy training partner that's flying around and kneeing you in the head 20 times, you're not, yeah, you already know. I don't even have to go down that road. Um, so we build these guys up. We have to tear them down, and not in a how what's the proper wording for this? Not as a on a personal level. I'm not breaking them
Yeah.
down to the point where I'm breaking their ego down. I have to break them down mechanically so they can understand how to do, like, let's say I'm doing lunges, right? When you ask someone to do a lunge, they go to do that lunge without any direction. They can't do it. The second you ask them to put their groceries down, they suddenly have perfect form. It's the weirdest thing. So I kind of have to
Hmm.
break these little tiny nuances that are from regular life, trying to make those guys, give them those little tiny black belt skills real early, plant tiny seeds, um, put in a good curriculum I know works basics first, always basics first. If we want to go down the highway of, hey, what do you like? We go down that later when it's personalized.
Hmm.
But a lot of training, a lot of drilling, a lot of practice, and then testing periods as well. So, not testing in the traditional martial arts sense of, hey, I need to see all these forms. I need to see this. I need to see that. But live application, both in minimal friction of flows and then real training, depending on, again, the person's needs. So everyone in their own time. It's hard. It's a dance. It's a lot of steps. You're kind of asking me a question that I don't have a stream for. It's more like an ocean of information.
Yeah, I get. No, I get
I
it.
apologize. I may sound like gibberish.
No, 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 no. It makes sense. I mean, it's just it just goes to show that every instructor has their methodology and philosophy behind how they develop their students.
I can be more specific for sure, though. A lot of
Yeah.
wrestling, put people on their backs, pass their guards, smash. Okay. We do a ton of guard work, but again, I don't want to have to fight off of my back if I don't want to. Most of my stylization with my students is getting back up onto your feet and fighting from there.
Yep.
So
Speaking to
it
the choir
works.
there.
It works. How many years do you know that I played half guard? Like consistently? Okay. How many years did I get cross-faced to the point where it was like, okay, I found some stuff in here, but this is tedious and it's a lot of work. And mostly what happens here is I hold on and I don't win until there's like a small gap or opening.
Yeah,
I
you and me
prefer
both.
prefer dominant displays, actions. It's a lot less work to do a little more work,
Yeah,
early on than later on. So
absolutely. Dude, 100%. I think one of the things that I noticed, you touched on something that's just massively important, but I don't see it in a lot of schools is people missing the stand-up component.
yeah,
Mm. Is standing.
it
There's no
is.
such thing as magically falling to the floor, and one of the things that bothers me with a lot of these sport jujitsu competitions is everybody sits on their ass like they have worms as quickly as possible,
And
and,
start wiping it
they try
across the
and
floor.
play yeah, and they try and play footsies, and I was just like, number 1, you don't have to agree to any position, but number 2, grappling starts standing, and if you don't know how to engage somebody in a stand-up fight, right, how to wrestle them down,
hmm
then whatever you do on the ground is complete bullshit.
it puts you at a position of the other person's will. So if they do know how to deal with your pulling of guard and they do know how to deal with certain techniques, you're imposed upon at this
Yeah.
point. Anytime, and this is real easy, and I'll coach this a lot. I'm like, put your shadow over your opponent. Anytime the ground around you gets dark, it's typically not a positive thing.
Mhm.
So sitting underneath a person, depending on the circumstances, obviously, can be very dangerous. In a
Oh, yeah.
sports setting, especially. I don't suggest you learn how to just sit down right away. Hey, I'm learning jujitsu. This is my first class. What are we doing? Okay, well, we'll get the training wheels on, right? But once we start going, we need to get you from the top down. We don't want you from the bottom up.
Right.
Um, it's the same argument for me as like the black belt getting punched in the face. Yeah, you're gonna get punched in
Mm-hmm.
the face. You don't have a plan for it, dude. You're gonna get punched in the mouth. There's such a thing as like strike range control. Controlling
Mm-hmm.
striking range is really important. So if you don't know how to deal with that and you start getting punched in the head, I guess you can't make your grips the way that you're used to making your grips as well. Yeah, but rules protect you in all sorts of situations. It just depends on what it is. It's a fiasco conversation for me personally, so much. Yeah. What are you gonna do? It's always gonna be someone telling me that my rules are softer than theirs, and I'm some sort of expletive or something.
Yeah, I look, at the end of the day, I mean, I break it down like this. The first half of every class or practice, whatever you want to call it, is stand up. That's what I do. So we don't go to the ground until you're properly warmed up, right? And you have your stand up first, because if you don't have your stand up grappling down, the ground is a moot point. So that's, how I train my guys, is like our first half of every practice is stand up. And, I do things a little bit different in the sense that we only work one position a month, and we
Okay.
work one particular takedown a month. So
Okay.
as an example, like the month of March, and this is consistent, it'll be for every year, doesn't matter, it's the exact same thing. The month of March is like, for instance, we work on the sweep single leg, right? Because that's what we focus on for this particular month. So that's all we're drilling in terms of a particular style takedown, because I have everything from upper body takedowns, torso takedowns, below the waist takedowns. But as we're working our way down, so this month we're doing sweep single, and then our ground position for the month is back defense and escape. So anything from ranging, and I include the front headlock from that. So front
Yeah.
headlock defense to back defense, turtle, back mount, all of that. That's all we're drilling for the entire month of March. Because what I learned is that if I can get them to focus on one position every month, they're going to see development every 30 days. So they can focus on one thing, they develop that, they got it. Doesn't mean that
Mm-hmm.
when we're wrestling live, they're not doing other things, but their focus, their primary focus is, how do I defend this position? How do I escape? And then how do I reattack? So everything, I use what I call the DEA method: defend, escape, attack. So when we're working on a particular defensive position, number one, make sure they're not attacking you, right? So you were deflecting. If they're striking you from the ground, if they're trying to choke you, whatever, how do we get out of that? How do we move? And so we just build that rapid fire. So I look at every 30 days from day one. Okay, we're all starting from scratch. How well can we develop ourselves to day 30, right? In
Mm.
this process.
You do
So
well in
even
30
if you
days.
have, right, every
Yeah.
30 days, I'm switching. So your worst case scenario, if you show up to class, you're 10% better than you were on day one. So by the end of the month, you're at least 10% better than you were. So you're guaranteed to improve as long as you show up, because you don't have anything abstract. It's not like, oh, I learned an arm bar, I'll see it again maybe 2 or 3 years, but how do I connect an arm bar to this, right? It's just like
You have
we're
to move in
focusing on,
increments. Yeah.
we're focusing on these positional situations where this is all you're doing. And then, yes, you're not going to master a sweep single, but you're getting to the point where you're building proficiency in this particular takedown, to where this is what you're doing. And, well, how do I get to it? Okay, well, you're hand fighting, you're controlling the head, you're doing this, you're doing that. Here's my entry, to the point where you may have never seen a sweep single in your life on day one. Day 30, you can actually pull it off.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, if you go into a competition, you can actually hit a sweep single on somebody. And people are like,
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck? So I try to build that consistency, because when I see that they have that consistency every 30 days, it builds a tremendous amount of confidence, where they're like, oh my God, I have this. Because the biggest thing that I notice when people duck out of jujitsu or grappling in general is because they don't see, it's so abstract. They don't see a definitive light at the end of the tunnel, right? So I try to make it where every 30 days there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You know exactly what your curriculum is for the month. You
Mm-hmm.
will get better at this particular set of techniques, or these particular set of situations by the end of the month. And they go, oh my God, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. They
Oh, there always
feel
is.
proficient, right?
Yep.
And I think that's why so many people duck out. We know, look, you make these jokes back in the day, like, why bother learning somebody's name until they're at least a blue belt? Because
No, that was
everybody
a real
quits.
thing. Yeah, everyone
Yeah,
quits. Yeah, 90
everybody
plus
quits.
percent. Yeah, you see me look off to the side like, no, that's a real conversation right there. That's not a fake conversation. That's
No,
something that happened plenty of
that's
times.
real.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just like, what's
Oh,
your name, dude? We don't
it's
know you
actually
until you've been in
very
for at
funny
least a few
when
years.
when I actually met my wife, it was sidewalk service. It had nothing to do with jujitsu. Happened to be training at different facilities very close to each other, but um, literally she's like, oh yeah, I'm a blue belt, and I immediately, because of that social bias that was already pre-built in, I was like, yeah, okay, cool, like that's nice, we'll see if you survive, right? Like very dickish. So she holds that over my head every day, which is fine. I don't mind. It's true. But look at where we're at now. So
Yeah, it's one of those things, Yeah, you just sorry, I hate to say it, guys. We're going to pull the
yeah,
veil back a little bit here, but
it's a big percentage.
we don't take it seriously. We don't take you. I hate to say this, but in a sense, it's hard for us to take you seriously until you're really in, because
There's a turning
the
point.
initial. Yeah, you have to have
Yeah,
that turning point because too many people bail. From white to blue, it's 90+% will never
blue belt
make it.
blue.
You have the blue belt blues, these guys that after blue belt, they quit because they go, I'm a jujitsu master now. There's enough for me to learn on the
Yeah,
street. No.
I did it one time, and so the way it was explained to me was like there's this blue belt blues plateau that hits, and that's right where
Mhm.
that's where your turning point normally is. It's not always, but I mean sometimes it happens very early, sometimes it happens later. You hit this plateau. It happens around blue belt level. You're like, I got my blue belt. I don't feel like I'm progressing. I'm getting my ass beat. This and that. Blah blah blah. Well, I've done enough. I feel I'm about to get my purple belt, maybe have all these stripes on here, and then you just disappear. That is like the fear of progress. Like,
Mm.
I don't know what's going on there, but I see so many people walk away. And don't get me wrong, sports, let alone combat sports, have high turnover rates, but you're quitting right before you're giving yourself an excuse not to be successful. And you're right
Yeah.
there. You're right at that gate. And there's going to be so many more plateaus like that. You know how many times I've hit like a static point where I'm like, man, I suck. A lot, a lot. It happens a lot. And as long as
Yeah.
you're in it, it's going to happen. But that's, again, there will be growth after that period. You have to learn to rework your game. And there's the thing is other people are figuring you out as you go. It's not going to work forever. Okay, I'm sorry. 20 years goes by. I don't care if it worked 20 years. Your body's going to stop working in some like mandatory functional way for that work for 20 years because you've done it for 20 years. 20 years. You're a keyboard, my guy. 10,000 strokes on that piece right there. That's what you got.
Mhm.
After that 10,000, that piece doesn't work anymore. It falls off.
Yep.
So, yeah, you got to learn how to retool.
Yeah, you have to have, I mean, Eric Paulson told me that 20 something years ago, where he used to say to me, yeah, I could teach you all these techniques. And here's the thing. He said to me, he's like, Brian, he's just like, you're not going to use any of this stuff that I'm showing you when you get older. He's like, it's
Mm-hmm.
cool to learn it, but your body's going to change. Right. And he was telling me it's like having that puberty conversation with, the health teacher or something in school.
Mm-hmm.
Your body's going to change. And when your body changes, you're going to see new things and this is going to happen. And that was the old Eric Paulson conversation when he said, I'll never forget this,
Mm-hmm.
sitting me down in the room telling me, Brian, your body's going to change. And when it
Mm-hmm.
changes, none of this is going to work. And so you have to be adaptive in your learning and decide what's going to work for your changing body when you get older. And one day you're going to become an old man and that's not going to work. And so you're going to have to master the game of efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And it took many years for that to process, for me to understand that. But, we joke about it now. He's like,
I
"Oh,
mean,
yeah, old man jujitsu." I'm
no,
like,
it's a hard learning process. It's a real thing. Like you can't
mhm,
you will beat the brakes off eventually. I don't care like if you train, you could train like okay, 20, 30 years hard, yeah. You can train 30 years hard easy. Okay, gonna have to learn how to do what you're doing after 30 years, my guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's the reality sucks. It'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll
Then
happen.
it, it,
Better
it
walk funny
happens.
and then still don't be able to do it. I don't care.
Yeah. It's just like the amount of people I'm like, oh, this hurts. I can't do this today or that or that. Oh, here's a funny one. I think I've
I've had that
mentioned
too many
this on the
times.
show
Yeah.
before. A couple years ago, me and Marcel were we were just doing some wrestling drills and we were
Hmm.
doing these go behinds to belly to back suplex. And we were getting really sweaty. So at one point, Marcel's like, yeah, lift me, get me up there and really hit me, throw me on the crash pad. Okay. So for people don't understand, this guy's 5'8", 250 pounds, juiced to the gills,
Yeah.
national champion of everything. He's not really the
Judo,
guy
national judo
wrestling
champion,
everything,
wrestling, Brazilian,
everything,
world, everything. In every
everything.
wrong division he shouldn't be in, getting
Hmm.
screwed by the system and winning or at least placing in finals.
Yeah.
Like the guy.
Yeah. So this is guys as high level as you're going to get. And he's telling me, and I'm running these suplex drills with him. And of course, I'm 70 pounds less than he is or whatever. I get behind him, my hands slip. We're sweaty as hell. And I'm
I'm sweaty as hell right
literally,
now.
I'm mid lift. I got him gripped. I'm mid lift. My hands slip. What happens? I throw my back out.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Not good. Familiar
And
pains. I have sympathy pains for you. I do.
2.5 months. It was 2.5 months that I could barely move my back. I was trying to get through class, teaching and stuff. And I was just like, well, check that off the box. I am not doing belly to back suplexes ever again. I can practice go behinds, but I'm not lifting anybody, especially that motherfucker. I'm like, not happening. It's just like, you don't lift somebody to that degree, that pedigree and that weight and that just ability. Me being the idiot that I was, I'm listening to him. And it's just like, I got to know when to not listen to this. Somebody like that. I'm like, I'm not lifting you. I was done. I'm like, don't ask me ever again to lift you. Why? We got to do it. We got to practice this.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'll practice the go
Marcel's
behind.
nuts.
I'll sit down. He's fucking crazy.
He's crazy. He's
And the thing
absolutely nuts.
is just, and what people don't understand, yeah, he does all these things, but the guy's walking around in pain 24/7.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I've
of
talked
course
to
he
him
has the help.
extensively about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has the help of all the best Mexican supplements in the world.
But he still hurts
But
though.
he still hurts.
Yeah, he
You
tells me
know,
all the time, especially when my back was bad when I first moved over here. He's like, dude, get out of bed, man. I was like, Marcel, you don't understand, brother. I cannot get out of bed right now. I can't get out of bed. I'm thinking about buying a bedpan, brother. He's like, if you don't get up and start walking, it's going to set in and it's going to be bad and you're never going to get out of bed. I was like, again, Marcel, I can't get out of bed right now, bro.
so you just have to know the older you get, it's just like the more exactly what you're saying. You have limited time with everything that you're doing. And when we're doing this stuff that's as physical as it is, you're always on borrowed time when you're grappling. I don't care what anybody thinks or says. You can have whatever delusion you want. The more time you put on the mat, the older you get, you're on
Mm-hmm.
borrowed time. Doesn't mean you
Absolutely.
can't grapple. I mean, look, Chris Howder's 60 years old. You have guys that your dad, you have guys that are older, but at the end of the day, they're not doing what they did 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
No, not
You
if
have
they
to
are not
move
nearly as
your
fast
game.
or even the same angle, not even close. Just different
Not even
increments
close.
of it. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's
Not even
everyone thinks they're
close.
going to be a tough guy forever, or get out of the game early. In which case, you're here for a short one, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
look at what's his name? Gordon Ryan, officially checked out. He wasn't even 30 years old.
yeah. Tummy issues sucks. It is what it is. Hey, for the
Yeah.
price
I
of
mean,
looking like a Greek statue, you too can have a really bad tummy ache. So, but respect to the guy. He hit the pinnacle in certain arenas. Definitely a threat force. Absolutely deserves that respect. I won't comment on other things, but again, yeah, tummy issues. He definitely, and because of some of the access. So I would
yeah.
say a victim of his own success to a degree.
Yeah. And you have to know. It's just like when you can get in, when you can get out. You your body's going to change.
He's made his money,
And
bro. You know, he's
yeah.
absolutely at the top. No one can ever. It doesn't matter if anyone badmouths him. He's hit the success pocket that all of us in a poor sport at the start were looking for. And we all know when we
Mhm.
started, it was always a poor sport right at the start.
Yeah.
So what's going on now, the opportunities and all these things, it's amazing
Massive.
what. Yeah, a massive what the community, the turnaround, the money that's being made. UFC's picking up BJJ, which is one thing. I don't know what you think about that. I don't know what I think about that yet. We have what's going on with CJI. We have ADCC, all sorts of events. I don't think we need to be in the Olympics or chase that dream anymore. I think we have enough events and there's enough money pumping in now where we can focus on ourselves like we should, and then mix in other areas. But hey, I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, here's my thought on it all. And I'm going to start with the UFC BJJ thing. In a sense, I think it's fantastic because they're building a grappling league
Hmm.
and they're going to put a lot of attention on a lot of guys that deserve it.
I agree.
Where I disagree is the rule set. And it's always going to be my thing. I think any rule set that permits guard pulling is a
Oh
no no.
yeah, yeah. I don't even know the full rule set. I've barely even watched it. I just appreciate the fact that there's money going in at this point.
And
Yeah.
I do too. But it's, I I just I'm sorry. Just
The butt scooting.
I
It's
yeah,
not it's not a crowd
that's gotta
pleaser.
go.
That's not a crowd pleaser at all. It does upset, like, and we're talking about something that puts butts in seats. That does not putting your butt on the floor and dragging it doesn't put butts in seats. At least not in an arena. Maybe at home on your laptop, it might put your butt there to watch, but not not during a grappling match. Sorry,
I
sorry.
agree. I
Got carried
agree. No,
away.
no, I agree. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
I just that the thing that I always disagree with is I don't care what tournament or whatever, the guard pulling. I think it's nonsense. I don't think it's realistic. I know people are into the combat jujitsu. To me, that okay, well, it's MMA. Great. So
It
you're
is
hitting
open hand
somebody on the ground.
striking. Why not just close your hand? I mean, still get knocked out, right? Go play a single
Yeah.
leg X, get knocked out, open palm strike, your head hits twice. One from me, one from the floor. We've seen it happen on TV. We've literally seen
Oh,
it
yeah.
happen.
I think, you know, in a perfect world, I love Josh Barnett's rule set for the ACWA, American Catch Wrestling Association rule set. You have to have a takedown. There's no guard pulling allowed. Um, I do like the pin and submit rules, and I like the fact that he says that a controlled pin has to be outside of the guard, so you cannot pin somebody inside a closed guard. So you can work as much guard as you want, in his rule set, but you better learn how to fucking wrestle out of these positions, and you better learn how to take somebody down. And
What
I
does
would
he,
love to see
just out
more
of
people work
curiosity,
that.
what does he think about reversals? Do you know?
So there's no points for reversals.
Yeah, I agree. There's no points for reversals. There's points for
Mm,
landing in dominant positions off of reversals. Like, let's say you reverse and then you hit mount, but like in terms of like giving points, like sweeping points too. We just had our kids event the other day, and this thing is driving me nuts. Is why
mm,
I obviously have ulterior motives in my brain about these points, but I hate reversal points. I think it's the
yeah,
dumbest
it's
thing.
dumb.
It's so dumb. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you like reversal points. They're dumb. I said what I said.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. I
Yeah.
agree with you. Sorry, get yourself in a dominant position and pin them or
Yeah, I
rip
agree.
off a
And side
limb or
pin's one of
something.
the most dominant positions
Yeah,
in terms of pinning that you can get. Honestly, is a real.
absolutely.
Every time I've ever landed in a really bad situation, and it's always a catch wrestler, I land in a side pin position, and I immediately go, I'm in danger. I have
Mhm.
to move. I don't have a choice anymore. Okay, that
Yeah,
is more often than not. That's my highest ratio of oh from the stand up position where I land. That's actually a threat zone. Is a side pin. It is just too dangerous.
yeah. You got to move. And I just, that's the only thing. But I like the fact that UFC is putting money into jujitsu. I think that's cool.
I agree. I think they have Craig to thank
I
for
just
that.
want, yeah, I just want to see a rule set change. And yeah, The CJI 1 I loved. CJI 2 I wasn't crazy about because
No,
they
one
changed the
was
rules and all
fantastic. The
that.
rules
1
sucked.
was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
one,
it's
that's
just
some of the
like
best jujitsu that you can see in a formatted event. That is easily some of the highest performance jujitsu that's
it was
recorded for
beautiful.
a general audience. It was you can go back and look now, and it is still a wet dream. You look at CJI 2, it is a sloppy, slow stall
Mhm.
fest. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the motivation of the money or just the rules itself breaking it up into the
I
format. I don't
I
know. It
I I
was
think it
not
was
it.
both.
I agree. I can agree with that. I think it was both.
CJI, they shouldn't have touched it. Leave
They
CJI
should have left
1
it.
was perfect. Leave it
Everyone was ready for
exactly as
that.
that was. Everybody, dude, that
Go back to
Tackett
it.
versus Rotolo, shit.
Yeah, I agree.
That was,
Go back to that
it
rule
was a
set.
work of art. That was a work of art. You didn't have to do anything. It was perfect. I
Mm-hmm.
loved the little mat with the angles and all that stuff. They used
The
the
combat walls, the
karate
combat
combat.
karate walls.
Yeah.
That is,
I
I
thought it
think
was
that is
so fun.
fantastic.
Fuck, dude.
Watching guys try and like use the wall as a height advantage and not think that they're going to get double legged to hell because the person's already under the hips was the for me. I'm like, what? Tell me he's not using the wall to try and wrestle off of like that, please, please tell me this. And then the
Oh,
flying
it was brilliant.
wham! I was like,
Those guys
beautiful.
took it every single, basically every single match of that thing was spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
You watch that event, you don't really need to watch anything else. There was everything right there. It's just
No,
like
everything was
there's
right
enough
there.
in that tournament to study where you just focus on that, have fun, look at the best guys in the world taking
Dude,
it to each other. It's fucking awesome.
he threw down a Jetsons food pill, the complete meal, popped it down, and the whole meal landed out on the first go.
Yeah. You didn't need to touch it, Craig. It
You
was
did. It was
perfect as it was.
perfect,
Should
brother.
have just
Leave it.
left it. You
Yeah.
should have just left it. You didn't have to do anything else. It was
It was
perfect.
fantastic. It was immaculate. That for me is probably going to be for many years is going to be a high point for the
Oh,
community.
absolutely.
Yeah. But who knows?
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll be surprised. I don't know. I don't want to undercut anyone. There's phenomenal athletes always showing up. There's new ones being born every day. You have no idea who's going
Absolutely.
to come out of the woodwork.
But just use that rule set. The rules, you didn't have to
Use that rule
change it,
set.
dude. It was right on.
Yeah,
It was spot on.
that
You
rule
didn't need to
set.
change anything.
Yeah.
Dude, UFC BJJ, if you guys are listening, take that CJI rule set from CJI 1, use that.
Yeah.
Good to go.
And then
Everybody use that same rule set.
Pay
Pay
him
it
for
out.
the idea. Pay him for the idea.
Fuck
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, license it, pay him a piece, give him some royalty points on it and be done with it. Because that was it. It was spectacular from
Mhm.
open to close. That tournament was spectacular.
There's
I
like
couldn't
no
look
boring
away.
fights. It was fantastic.
I
Yeah.
couldn't look away. It was awesome. All right. So as we start to wrap this up, I want you to give the audience some competition advice. Let's look at blue belts, purple belts that are competing.
Blue belts, purple belts. That's it. I love purple
Okay.
belt. That was my favorite.
So I know, right? That was my favorite
I
belt
didn't
too.
lose
Was
one
purple belt.
purple belt match. I don't think. I think I got all the way through purple without losing.
So let's focus on some competition advice for these guys coming up. They're hungry. How would you want them to structure their training? Something unique. How would you want them to structure their training so that they can continue to be dominant? Or let's say they suck and they're like, I suck. I'm a shitty competitor at blue belt. I'm a shitty purple belt competitor. I want to get better. And it's not going to be them learning new techniques, extra techniques. Give us some advice.
Start competing against yourself and stop competing against everyone else. You have someone that you have that is much better than anyone else that's available to you, which is you. Be self-reliant. If you can learn how to be like the hill you need to climb over and dominate, and you can understand that mindset of I'm competing against myself, I'm not competing against anyone else. This is me against me. You will see a lot of success. I can promise you growth. Okay. I cannot promise you in the multiplayer server that is competition medals. Okay. Hardware hunting was never the way for me, no matter how much was there. It's all about chasing skills to pay the bills on this one if you want that growth. And it starts up here. Okay. And then depending on how this guy goes, the rest of this will follow.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That is beautifully said. And I hope you guys take that to heart Focus on that mindset and how you're competing. It's you. It's just exactly what Ben said. You got to really develop yourself. Um, you know, I know a lot of people are in love with ordering videos on BJJ Fanatics. I'm going to tell you to stop doing that. I'm going to tell you to stop collecting Instagram reels and YouTubes. It's oversaturation.
There's some very good athletes out that are putting on like a dominant performance right now out in the competition, Europeans, all sorts of things, and their
Mm,
jujitsu that they're putting on their reels, some of it is highly questionable in terms of what
mm.
they're developing. Like I'm looking at stuff and going, that is designed specifically not to work the way he just set that up. Like the whole thing is real except for that one piece right there. Again, it's popping back up. But again, it's not my technique. Maybe I don't understand it. You know, different chokes for different blokes.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
but I think you're right.
Yeah.
So walk us through how we can find you. So if guys want to come out and come visit Lubbock, Texas, they want to come to the Hive, how do we find you on
Okay.
Instagram? How do we find your website? How do we
So
reach out to you?
So this is you can look up the Hive LBK real easy. We'll pull up on Instagram. We'll pull up on Google really easy. We're out in Lubbock. I believe we're 13209. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. My wife will kill me if I'm wrong right now. I'm just quoting off the top of my head. I don't have the information directly in front of me right now, and you know me. I'm an all training person. I am to some degree a business end of the stick, but I am not the business end of the stick. That is very much the misses. I am. You point me in a direction and you tell me to go bite and bark. That's me. So you look us up. We'll be on Instagram. We have here. I got the information for you right now. We have all sorts of stuff. I got 13209 Frankfurt Avenue, Suite 252, Lubbock, Texas 79424. Thank you. I am not the business end of that stick. That is how you can find us. We have all sorts of social media set up. Branding's pretty easy to spot. Spent a minute on this, so it should be fairly recognizable for you guys when it peels up.
The
And then
Hive.
if we
Yeah.
see you on there, I appreciate you guys for following. As the man said, I am not big on displaying myself, and I am kind of like a hidden person in the community. I mind my own business. So if you guys link up with us, we love to have you and be a part of the Hive family. So we'll see you guys out there.
Yeah. So I cannot recommend Ben enough. Okay. So my recommendations don't come easily or lightly, but this is somebody I've known for years and years and years, and I know his talent and his skill and his abilities. So when I tell you that he's literally the best grappler you've never heard of and you've never met, now that's going to change. Um, I highly encourage you guys to take a little mini vacation out to Lubbock, Texas, and go to the Hive. Not only will you not be disappointed, 100% guaranteed it will elevate your game in ways that you didn't even know possible. Okay. So that is a deep request of mine, as it is for you guys to all do your homework, which is like, subscribe, and share. Remember, every week you need to share this podcast with 3 new people. That is not difficult. All you need to do when you're listening to the show, press copy link, put it in a text message, and send it to 3 new people. Okay. If everybody in your gym is not listening to the podcast, shame on them. That's your fault, not theirs, because you didn't share it with them. Pick 3 people, send it to them, send it to your coach, send it to everybody. But all I need is 3 a week, guys. We're number 1 in the world for a reason, because of all you guys, all you listeners, which I am incredibly grateful for. And let's keep the momentum going. We're at 37 countries. I want to be at least 40 countries by the end of the year. So I need you guys to really get out there and share. Okay. Like, subscribe, and share. And remember, for the month of March, I am participating in the 400-mile ride challenge. Okay. For Stop Soldier Suicide. So it is in the PCI Jiu Jitsu link and Instagram, and also Level Up Grappling link. You can click on the link for Stop Soldier Suicide and please donate to the cause. Right. So sponsor my ride, please. So I encourage any of you motorcycle riders out there, you can do the same thing. Any dollar amount helps. 100% of the money goes to this amazing organization, Stop Soldier Suicide. It is a subject that is very near and dear to my heart. And I encourage you all to make a difference, make an impact by any dollar amount you can, $5, $10, $100. We're trying to raise as much money for this amazing organization as possible. And like I said, 100% of the money goes to supporting the programs to help soldiers that have PTSD, mental health issues. These are things that are often overlooked, more often than not. And it bothers me to no end. We need to support, I don't care what political party or non political party you're affiliated with. We owe a duty to this country and those who have served in this country to give back to them. And this is a small way we can do it, and we can all do it. Okay. Because the VA doesn't do enough. And I don't believe our government is doing enough to help soldiers. So please stop soldier suicide. Go to the link. You can get it there on the PCI and Level Up Grappling page. Any dollar amount helps. Sponsor the ride. And remember our sponsors, guys, Spartan Cans. So get out there, discount code LUG, Road Gears with the G, GEARZ.com for your apparel. Get out there, help us out. And with that, we are out of here.